All right, Larry Kruger here from the Pig and the Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. Arik Armstead has been released by the 49ers. They are releasing Arik Armstead. Kind of big news on the eve of NFL free agency. Jordan Schultz of Bleacher Report reported the Niners are releasing Arik Armstead. Of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week. From 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Check that link in the description. Use the promo code Krug, and they'll match you up to your first $100. All right, Arik Armstead, no longer a 49er. He's decided, according to Jordan Schultz, to become a free agent, and he's going to be given his release. He's coming off a 6-tackle, 1-sack performance in Super Bowl 58. He ranks 4th in playoff sacks among all active players. He's been a good 49er. There's no question. But the Niners would have to designate this move as a post-June 1st release if they're going to save roughly $8 million in 2024. There's going to be an $18 million cap savings in 2024, but the team has to eat $10.3 million in dead money. That's per over the cap. So, we'll see if the Niners decide to release him automatically, or if they give him a June 1st designation. That will do some different things with the cap. He was scheduled to have a $28.3 million cap hit this year, and the Niners could split the dead money between 24 and 25 if they do the June 1st release. So we'll see what direction it is going to go for Armstead. Armstead's problem in recent years is just staying on the field. He was injured down the stretch. Really, the Niners struggled against the run when Arik wasn't in there. And he was injured down the stretch. I mean, the Niners finished in the bottom quarter of the league in most run defensive metrics. They struggled all year to stop the run. He was their best run defender, but they just couldn't stop the run. And he started 12 games this year, 9 games last year. He just turned 30 in November. The Niners obviously looking to get younger and more reliable at defensive tackle. And, Javon Hargrave now is the lone, returning tackle outside of Kalia Davis. So Armstead was one of the better defensive tackles in the league, I think. And I thought Hargrave really played kind of disappointing against the run. So the 49ers are going to have to really go into the free agent market and look for guys. Now, I think there's a lot of good answers in the draft. So they could go draft for the defensive tackle spot. But as far as free agency goes, if they're going to get the defensive end that they're looking for, they're probably going to have to do it in free agency. There's Danielle Hunter, who's tremendous. I mean, he's 29. He had 16 and a half sacks last year. Jonathan Greenard is out there from the Texans. Leonard Floyd is 31, but man, he can still do it. He's a really good player. He had a 1-year, $7 million deal with the Bills last year and then had 10 and a half sacks. Floyd always has been able to get the edge. So, I mean, there's some guys right there that they could get in free agency that I think are pretty good. Then there's could you trade for Brian Burns? Maybe you could, maybe you couldn't. What's the price of that? The talk is the Rams want him, and the price is a 3rd-round pick. Are you willing to move your 3rd-round pick for Burns? There's the Joey Bosa situation. Chargers are woefully over the cap. Bosa's coming off some injured-plagued seasons back to back. A lot of people around the league feel they'll be forced to cut Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. Do you wait for them to do that and maybe hopefully get Bosa for a much cheaper price? That might be the route to go. The one thing that this move absolutely makes clear is that there's going to be huge changes on the 49er defensive line. Some major move. Not only that, this is kind of the leader in the room in a lot of ways. Arik Armstead is the real leader in the room. He's the adult in the room. I mean, at least it's always felt that way. So now you've got Bosa and Hargrave back. You've got Armstead gone. You're probably not going to bring back Chase Young. That would be my guess. So you need you need half your defensive line, starting D line, all of your backups, Randy Gregory, Javon Kinlaw, Cleve Farrell, Kevin Givens, Sebastian Joseph Day. They're all free agents. So this is an opportunity for the 49ers to totally reshape their defensive line. The only guys they have back under contract are Bosa, Javon Hargrave, Drake Jackson, Kalia Davis, Robert Beal Jr. And then after that, it's guys who are more practice squad guys. Alex Barrett, Wagee, McGill, Bryant, Raymond Johnson. They've got 5 or 6, practice squad type guys. But they really lack an entire they're down about 6 defensive linemen right now. So defensive line is going to have to move to the front of the line as far as numbers, and both in free agency and in the draft. I think the Niners are going to have to address their D line basically at every turn. But this is an interesting one. It sounds like to me the 49ers probably went to Arik and said, "Hey, we'd like you to take a pay cut." He said no, and they said, "We'll grant you your release." And sadly, they need this player, but he's making a lot of money, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense to keep restructuring him when he's getting towards the finish line. You want to restructure a younger player with a lot of upside, spread that out over the years ahead. That's one thing. With an older player, it becomes difficult. So, what does this do for the 49ers? I mean, it takes out the biggest rock in the middle of their defensive line. And then you remove Chase Young as well as a free agent. And you've got the 49ers going into the free agent period looking for guys who can absolutely play. Now, can you get Christian Wilkins? Can you get Chris Jones? Jones is already signed according to the reports, but could you get a Christian Wilkins? That would be a really, really nice pickup if you could. He's coming off a terrific year. He's scheme versatile. He would be a big expenditure in the free agent market for sure. So I will say this: in the draft ahead, there's just several good options at defensive tackle. So it's not like, oh my gosh, how do they ever replace Arik Armstead? Is there anybody out there they can get? Oh, I mean, there's tons of guys. I mean, inside you got guys like Tavondre Sweat, McKinley Jackson. Love those two guys. Later in the draft, Evan Anderson, Jordan Jefferson. There's a lot of big bodied, the one technique, the nose guard type guy. Then you go to that 3 technique. I mean, Byron Murphy, Braden Fisk, Mason Smith, Rook Ororo, or Rook Rororo, I should say. He's terrific. I mean, there's a bunch of guys there. You look at the 5 technique: Darius Robinson, Chris Jenkins, Michael Hall, Brandon Dorless. I mean, you got lots of guys there. Marcus Harris, Trajan Jeffcoat. There's a lot of good players there. So there's just a lot of defensive linemen in this draft, and we're going to have to see exactly how the whole thing shakes out. But for now, Arik Armstead no longer a 49er, and it makes you think that the Niners are going to go big on the defensive line in the next 24 to 48 hours. Like if you said to me, what do I think the next move is? A Christian Wilkins. Somebody of that ilk, some big time interior player with a lot of talent. I could see them going in that direction, next. And if it's not Wilkins, it could be somebody else like him. I do think they're going to go for a premier defensive end, maybe in free agency. But with no Armstead, I would say Wilkins would be the top target that I could see the Niners going after. But there's a bunch of guys in the marketplace. One name that's been floated around is DJ Jones. If Jones wants to come back, I mean, he would be a terrific complement as a run defender next to Javon Hargrave, who's a pass rusher. In some ways, I think DJ Jones might be a better fit for this defense than Arik Armstead. That would be nice. It's going to be really interesting, though. But thanks to all of you. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring this video. Make sure you check that link in the description. Use the promo code Krug, and they'll match you up to your first $100. And thanks to all you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.